Hey y'all, we are going to be going further into multiplying polynomials today. I'm trying to get this the right size. I apologize. Get it close. That's close enough for right now. No, right there. No, let me see. Right. There. Okay. There we go. All right. We're going to start off with some review, just like we've been doing. And without further ado, get rid of my ugly mug. Bye. And I want you to pause the video and complete these 4 problems. All right, multiplies to be 50, adds to be 27. Okay, if I go through the process, 1 times 50 is 50. 1 plus 50 is 51. That's not it. 2. 50 divided by 2 is 25, so 2 times 25 is 50. And 2 plus 25 is 27, so those are my 2 numbers. Number 2, 1 times 18 is 18. That adds up to be 19, so that's not it. Excuse me. Next number is 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9, so 2 times 9 is 18. 2 plus 9 is 11. Not it. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 plus 6 is 9. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, number 3 multiplies to be 2, adds to be negative 3. Okay. What we have to remember on this one, we can try 1 times 2 is 2. And 1 plus 2 is 3, excuse me. But what we have to remember is, in order to do this, to make it add up to be a negative 3, I have to do negative times a negative. Negative 1 times negative 2 is still positive 2. But now when I add negative 1 and negative 2, I do get my negative 3. Okay, last but not least, number 4, start off with 1 in the number. 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. 1 plus negative 5 is negative 4. Found it right away. Okay. Now let's go ahead and do a set of 4 of our problems that we've been doing the past couple days with adding. We have adding, subtracting, distributing, and then our distribute and combine like term ones. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and complete these 4 problems. All right, let's look at number 1. Okay, now it's important now that we have more types, we look in between the parentheses. That's a plus sign, so we are adding. Okay, 1, positive 1, I'm good. Positive 1, I'm good. Let's just add up the like terms. And I'm going to kind of do this just a slightly different way because I don't have a ton of space. The 8 to the thirds. 5 8 to the third plus 3 8 to the third. That's going to be 8 8 to the third. Okay, the next biggest, those are done. Next biggest are my a squareds. So I have 8a squared. You got to be careful who here. That is negative 2a squared. So 8 plus negative 2, that is positive 6a squared. Those are done. And then we have our regular numbers. So I use 3 lines here. Negative 4 plus 1, that is negative 3. Again, remember when we are adding like terms, we do not mess with the exponents. Okay, number 2. Now this one we have a little bit of work to do because we have minus in between. This first one, positive 1, that one's good. But this has a negative 1. So remember, I actually have to distribute that. So negative 1 times 4x is negative 4x. Negative 1 times 3x squared is negative 3x squared. And negative 1 times negative 6, that is positive 6. Okay? And I don't need this anymore. I like to scratch it off so it doesn't confuse me and I don't accidentally look at it. And now we add up our like terms. Biggest exponent is the x squared. So I have 2x squared plus negative 3x squared. That's going to be negative 1x squared. Those are done. My x's, we have 5x and negative 4x. That's going to be positive 1x. And then we have our constants, the regular numbers. 5 plus 6 is 11. And I'm done. Okay, number 3. When I look in between here, there's no plus or minus sign. So this is multiplication, and I am using the distributive property. Remember, you can make a box for these. For this one to be a 1x3 box. And we'll actually use the box today as we do bigger multiplication problems. But this is the distributor property. So 7r to the third times 5r squared. 7 times 5 is 35. And what we have to remember is r to the third times r squared. Remember, those are multiplied, so we have to actually add the exponents. That becomes r to the fifth. Then we have 7r squared times negative 1r. 7 times negative 1 is negative 7. R to the third times r to the first. Remember, that's r to the first there. Add the exponents, that is r to the fourth. Then we have 7r to the third times 4. That'd be positive 28r to the third. Don't have any like terms, so there's my answer. The last one, and probably the hardest one out of these. We have distribute and we have combine like terms in here. Okay, so let's focus on this first one, this part right here first. So I have a 3x in front of the parentheses, so I need to distribute that. Again, be very careful that we're remembering that when we multiply our variables, we add the exponents. So 3x times x, that is 3x squared. 3x times 4x to the fourth, that is positive 12x to the fifth. Remember, when we're multiplying x's, we add the exponents. 3x times negative 8x squared, that's going to be negative 24x to the third. Then we go on to our other one. Okay, this is a positive 5, so positive 5x squared times 5x. That's positive 25. Remember, x squared times x, that would add the exponents as x to the third. We'll run out of space here. 5x squared times 5 is positive 25x squared. And then we have 5x squared times negative 5x to the third. So it'd be negative 25. And x squared times x to the third is x to the fifth. Okay. Now it's time to add up my like terms. So biggest exponent here is my x to the fifth. So I have 12x to the fifth, and I have negative 25x to the fifth. That's going to be negative 13x to the fifth. Remember, when I'm adding, I don't mess with these exponents. Those are done. My x to the thirds are next. We have negative 24x to the third plus 25x to the third. That's positive 1. X to the third. And then we have our x squareds. 3x squared plus 25x squared. That'd be 28x squared. And that would be my final answer. Okay. So I want to make sure we did a little bit of review. Now, we're going to be looking today, my young grasshoppers, at multiplying polynomials. Now, there's two different methods that can be used. Okay. My preferred method on multiplying polynomials, you'll see, is I will use a box. Okay, so the box's size depends on what things you're multiplying. Okay, so if you have 2 things times 2 things, okay, I would make a 2x2 box. If you have 2 things times 3 things, I would just use a bigger box. Okay, I would just split it up differently. You're going to see me do that when I do some of these problems. Now, I will also show you what we call the FOIL method. Now, really what this is you're creating a big distributed property problem, because that's really what it is. The box just helps us organize it. So let's go ahead and look at the box method first. I will show you this method, the FOIL method, okay? But you are going to see me lean towards using that way when I explain them in class, okay? So here's our first example, okay? We are going to use the box for this particular one, okay? So we're simplifying this. We have z minus 6, and that's being multiplied to z minus 12. Now, it's extremely important that you pay attention to what is in between the parentheses. And there's nothing here, so that means that this is multiplication. Just a reminder, do not write this down here. Oops, meant to write a z, not a 2. If I did z minus 6 plus z minus 12, that's a different problem because there's a plus sign there. So we don't want to confuse the two. If there's a plus sign there, that would be just like doing number 1, okay, that we did up here. We're just adding the like terms. Okay, this is a totally different deal. This is multiplication. Okay. So for this one, we have 2 things multiplied to 2 things. So we're going to make a 2 by 2 box. So let's go ahead and make our box. Now, I'm going to put this one on a side that has 2. Now, both the sides have 2, so it's kind of irrelevant. I'm just going to go ahead and put that one here on the side. So we have z, and we have a negative 6. Okay. And then on the top part, I'm going to go ahead and put that. It has 2 things. I'm going to put them both there. Z, and then we have negative 12. And now inside the box, I'm doing all my multiplications. Okay. Z times Z. So let me change my colors. Z times Z is Z squared. Okay. Then we have Z times negative 12, which is negative 12Z. And I will remind you, remember, we're doing Z times Z. Don't forget, when you multiply, you have to add exponents. Okay, now I'm down to the negative 6. I'm going to do my multiplications with that. Negative 6 times Z is negative 6Z. And negative 6 times negative 12 is positive 72. Okay, now from here, now we're going to look with these things inside the box only. I'm going to put them in standard form. So I'm going to have to add up some like terms. So Z squareds, that is the only Z squared. So I'll write it down. And we can see here we have 2 things with Z's. Those are going to get added up. Negative 6Z plus negative 12Z is negative 18Z. And then we still have that 72, so plus 72. And that's it. And that's how we would use the box. And again, that's my preferred method. Okay. Write down example 2. We have 5x minus 4 times 2x plus 8. So again, there's nothing in between the parentheses, so that is multiply. Now, if I was making a box, I would make a 2 by 2 box. Okay, just like I did here. I would make a 2 by 2 box. But I do want to show you the alternate method. Some of you might prefer this way. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this. So you're essentially doing a big distributive property problem. So I start with the 5x. And I'm going to multiply the 5x by both of those. So I'm going 5x times 2x. That's 10x squared. Remember, x times x is x squared. 5x times 8. That's positive 40x. Okay, so the 5x is done. Now I'm going to work with the negative 4. And you got to make sure you see this as a negative 4. And you're doing distributive property with that. Negative 4 times 2x. That would be negative 8x. And negative 4 times 8. That is negative 32. And now we still add up our like terms. And we can see here with those two, we have some like terms that we need to add up. And I would get 10x squared. See, 40x plus negative 8x. That would be positive 32x minus 32. Now, in reality, we are doing the exact same thing. The only thing that makes me lean towards the box is it provides some semblance of organization. Okay, so we tend not to forget things as the problems get bigger. Okay, Now, what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video, and I want you to try both of these problems multiplying. I prefer the box, okay, but if you want to try them the other way, that is fine. Go ahead and pause the video and try these two. Okay, let's go ahead and look here. This first one, 2 things times 2 things. So I'm going to make my 2 by 2 box. My x plus 2 I'm going to put on the side, and my x minus 3 I'm going to put on the top, and I'm going to do my multiplications. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. And I'm done with that one. Down to the bottom, 2. 2 times x is 2x. And 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Add up my like terms. I have x squared. Remember, when we're adding, we don't mess with exponents. So 2x plus negative 3x is negative 1x minus 6. Okay, letter B. Again, 2 things times 2 things. I would use a 2 by 2 box. On the side, I'm putting 3x plus 5. And on the top, I'm putting 2x minus 6. And then we're going to multiply. So 3x times 2x is 6x squared. Do not forget, when you're multiplying x's, you have to add those exponents. 3x times negative 6 is negative 18x. Done with the 3x, down with the 5. So 5 times 2x, that's 10x. 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. Add my like terms. I'd have 6x squared. We're adding these two like terms. 10x plus negative 18x is negative 8x minus 30. Okay. Now, those are the ones that we were going to end up seeing the most of. Okay. But we will see other types, and I want to make sure I show you some of those. So let's look at this second example here. Okay, so let's go ahead and write this example down. We have 3a plus 4 multiplied to a squared minus 12a plus 1. So I have a binomial. I have a binomial right here multiplied to a trinomial. Okay, so if I'm using the box, okay, I just need a bigger box. This has 2 things and this has 3 things. So I need to make a 2 by 3 box. So I'm just going to make sure that when I create this box, I make one of the sides have 3 and one of the sides have 2. Okay. Now, since they are different sized polynomials, you do have to put them in specific spots. The polynomial that has 2, the binomial, has to go on the side with 2. So this is where the 3a plus 4 has to be. Okay. And then my trinomial, the one with 3, has to be on the side with 3. This is where I would put my a squared, my negative 12a, and my 1. Then I'm going to go through and do all the multiplications. Okay, so start on the top. 3a times a squared would be 3a to the third. Remember, when you multiply a's, you have to add the exponents. 3a times negative 12a is negative 36. See, a times a, add the exponents. I get a squared. And then finally, 3a times 1 is 3a. Go to the bottom. Now I'm multiplying with 4. So 4 times a squared is 4a squared. 4 times negative 12a is negative 48a. And 4 times 1 is 4. Add up all the like terms here. So a to the third is the biggest exponent. So I have 3a to the third. Then I have 2 things with a squareds, both of these. I'm going to add those up. Remember, when we're adding, we don't mess with exponents. So 4x squared plus negative 36a squared. See, 4 plus would be negative 32a squared. We're adding, don't mess with the exponents. I also have these a's that need to get added up. Negative 4a plus 3a, that's negative 45a. And don't forget about that 4, plus 4. That would be my answer. Okay. Now, I showed it with the box. Yes, it is possible to do it using the FOIL, the quote-unquote FOIL method, okay? Because you would just start with the 3A, you would distribute that, and then you would go to the 4, and you would distribute that. That's essentially what we're doing in the box, okay? Just the box organizes the information. It's a little easier to see. Okay, I want you to try this one. Oh, make sure you pause the video and actually try it. Okay, so we have a trinomial times a binomial. I have 3 things times 2 things. So I just need the same size box. I need a side with 2, and I need a side with 3. Okay, and that's the way I'm going to orient it. Now on the side with 2, I need my binomial. I have to put that one there because it has 2 things, 3b minus 1. On the side with 3, I'm going to put the trinomial, 2b squared plus 7b plus 9. And now let's do our multiplications. 3b times 2b squared is 6b to the third. Remember, b times b squared is b to the third. Add the exponents. 3b times 7b is 21b squared. Remember, because 1 plus 1 is 2. Add the exponents when you multiply. 3b times 9 is 27b. Done with the top. Now I'm down to the negative 1. So negative 1 times 2b squared is negative 2b squared. Negative 1 times 7b is negative 7b. And negative 1 times 9 is negative 9. Add up my like terms. The biggest one is b to the third. So 6b to the third is first. My next one is the b squared. So I'm going to add those up. Negative 2b squared plus 21b squared. That would be positive 19b squared. Again, remember, when we're adding, you don't mess with exponents. My b's would be next. Negative 7b plus 27b. That would be positive 20b. Then we have minus 9. Okay, the last type that we're going to look at, just one problem, is problems that have multiple variables. Okay, we're not going to see a ton of these, but I do want you to be aware that we can do it the exact same way. You just have to slow down and think a little bit as you do these. Okay, so we have 3a plus 2b times 4a plus 3b. We have a binomial times a binomial. So 2 things times 2 things. I'm going to make a 2 by 2 box. And really doesn't matter which one you put where. I'm going to put the 3a plus 2b on the side. I'm going to put the 4a plus 3b on the top. Okay. And then we multiply. So 3a times 4a be 12a squared. 3a times 3b, that'd be 9. Now they're different letters, so I just put them down A, B. And I try to be consistent and put them in alphabetical order. Okay. Done with that, down to the 2b. 2b times 4a would be 8. And again, they're different variables. I'm just going to put them in alphabetical order, A, B. And then 2b times 3b, okay, that is going to be 6b squared. Now, when we write these down, there are some variations of how you can write it. I just try to stay consistent. I'm going to work with the A's first because they're all technically degree 2 if you want to be mathematical about it. Okay, so 12a squared. That's the only a squared. Okay, so that's it. Then I have my ABs. Those get added up. 8 plus 9 is 17. So that's 17 of the ABs. And then we have plus 6b squared. Okay. All right. Now, you are going to be working on your homework. Make sure that you notice that on your homework, okay, I highlighted the parts that that you need to do. Okay, those are highlighted. The parts that you need to do are highlighted. Okay, did you hear that? They're highlighted. Okay. If you do the rest of it, that's fine. Okay, for some extra work, that is fine. But I tried to just highlight the ones that I wanted you to do for sure. To answer the riddle, why is a stick of gum like a sneeze? You will have to make sure you complete the whole thing. All right, make sure you guys get that done. Don't forget to upload a picture of your notes, and we will see you later. Adios. Hasta luego. Arrivederci.